the grand finale of the 2024 Rick Steves Festival of Europe. I'm Lisa Friend, and I'm delighted to be your moderator on this celebratory evening. Tonight, we've been invited to join the party at a filming location that you've come to know and love from Monday Night Travel, Rick's house. Now, we don't want to be late to the party, so please let me introduce our host for the evening, Rick Steves. Hi, Rick.
Hey, Lisa, you are not late to the party. It's just ramping up, and this is so much fun. Normally, I sit here and it's very quiet as I do our Monday Night Travel stuff. But we're celebrating the end of our travel festival, our tour festival of 2024. We're in a good mood because we're taking 30,000 Americans around Europe on 1,200 tours in 2024, and we are raring to go. So we're having a little festival here. We're going to get to know a lot of guides. We've got guides flying in from Rome and from Spain. We got all sorts of fun, and we're going to be reminiscing a little bit. I mean, I just dug deep and I found out my old passport. Man, if you've got a green passport instead of a blue one, you are pretty old. And if you get this expired in 1978, and there's the traveler right there. Wow. And you know, what's cool is Europe never gets old. I'm so thankful that we found our niche and we've got a lot of travel friends to travel with. And right now, I want to remind you, we've got our Monday Night Travel team engaged. Lisa is in charge of the video. We got Ben and we got Gabe here. Gabe's going to be the cameraman. And I'm just going to wander around and I want to all remind you that we are all in this together and Europe is our playground and we've got a lot of fun ahead of us. I think right now, I'm going to ask Gabe to pick up that camera, and we're going to go cruise a little bit and meet some of our travelers. But we've got some very high-class pizza and wine and beer, and we've got some of our travelers. I see we've got Javier, and I wanted to talk to Javier with his mouth full of pizza. You're a good Spaniard eating pizza. What's with that?
I mean, I like it. It's universal. Why not?
That's right. The pizza is the universal.
And remember, we're guides. So we travel the world and we try to blend.
That's a good answer. Javier Manor is from Madrid. And how long have you been leading tours with Rick Steves Europe?
Over a decade.
Over a decade. When I'm in Madrid, I love it when we connect.
Or in Sevilla, or in some other place.
All over the place.
Yeah, that is the magic. Oh, that's Rick there. Oh, that's somebody else there.
That's right. Well, it's nice to have you here. I hope you're enjoying yourself.
Yep.
And we've got a lot of travels going. Get back into that pizza. We'll talk to you later, Javier. And, you know, I've got, it seems like all I ever do is travel, but I do have a life. And here with our guides together, I've got some, I just want to give you a little tour of my refrigerator. The big news in our family is 14-month-old little Atlas. This little baby. Look at this cute little kid. And when my daughter, Jackie, decided to name him Atlas, along with her Atlas's dad, Damien, my wonderful son-in-law, I thought, Atlas? What a name! But it's a cool name. And now I've got Atlas driving my car. And now I know why the Beatles sang, "Baby, you can drive my car." This is Jackie, and this is Andy. And Andy is one of our guides at Rick Steves Europe. But I am so happy to be a grandpa. We had a lot of fun this year. We had a family festival in Vermont with a wedding, and it's a rare time when our little family got together. And then over here, my girlfriend Shelley and I actually did some traveling in the United States. Went to New Orleans and got a little dressed up for some fun. Every day's a party in New Orleans. And then I went on a dream trip to Morocco with Simon, my producer, the man who's made all of our TV shows over the last 20 or 30 years, his wonderful wife Val and my girlfriend Shelley, and we had the time of our life. Okay, let's step out into here where there's a little more quiet. And I want to remind you, we're going to be in here later. I'm going to play the piano a little bit. I'm going to be surrounded by some beautiful family memories. My dear dad, who passed away a few years ago, he's the guy who took me to Europe for my first time because he imported pianos. This is a piano that he imported, and I had this before I even owned a car. Later on, we're going to be drawing a name, and the name is going to get a free tour. And this is our crazy fox. And the fox has already got the name hanging from his tooth there. And we're going to reveal that name in just a little while. But right now, I've got a chance to introduce you to our first employee, the very first tour guide, and a man who's still with us. He's the guy who makes all the maps in all of our books. I was just talking to him the other day. He must have made 1,000 maps. And Dave was with me in the very, very beginning. And, you know, the years have gone by, and I think he's napping. But let's drop in on Old Man Tour Guide and see what happens. Hey, excuse me, sir. Aren't you Dave Herline, the oldest Rick Steves tour guide?
Who's there? What? Oldest? Rick, you're the oldest.
Okay, you're the first guy that ever led a Rick Steves tour that wasn't Rick Steves. How long ago was that, Dave?
Oh boy, let me think. 40 years now it must be.
40 years. We're called Rick Steves Europe now. What were we called back then?
Back then it was a long name. Europe through the back door.
Actually, in some ways, it was like Europe through the gutter. We had one tour. It was roughing it. What was that? We had one tour. It was the best of Europe. And we got 40 tours now.
It's amazing. And I was looking on your website, and you know the route of that tour we used to lead, the greatest hits of Europe, it's still almost the same. And I love that.
You know, back then we had tours of one length. Every tour was the same length, wasn't it?
Yeah, 22 days. That was our mantra.
We were trying to talk America into having longer vacations. Well, that one tour does survive. Hey, you know, people are so soft today. Back then, 20, 30, 40 years ago, nobody complained. Hotels had character.
That's right. And Rick, you used to say that travel should hurt. We'd make people had to carry their own bags. There was no elevators in those hotels. It was up the stairs they go. But the bathroom was that way.
The bathroom was down the hall. They used to brag they had hot and cold running water.
That's right. Showers were few and far between. They were a luxury.
You had to get a coin. I remember popping that coin in and the terror that in 5 minutes it's going to be cold again.
That's right. That was up in the Swiss Alps, and that water turned cold. Everybody became a yodeler.
And air conditioning, what is that?
Oh, we didn't know what it was. Not in the hotels, not in the buses either.
You know, if it was very hot and stuffy on a bus, what did the driver do?
On the freeway, he would just open up that side door, and we'd get air blow through ventilation and some autostrada exhaust too.
Hey, speaking of ventilation and air conditioning, you can take off your beard now, Dave. But I just really want to remind people, man, oh man, we go back.
Thank you. It's a bit itchy.
40 years. You know, it's a different age now for our tours, isn't it? Can you imagine back then? Well, I'm sure you can. No internet, no cell phones. How did we do it?
Yeah, it made communication a lot trickier, even in setting up the tours, as you know, where it was all done by phone calls and snail mail. And we'd sometimes show up at a hotel with a tired tour group and knock on the door and, I'm sorry, we have no reservation for you. So we had to scramble.
Scramble is right. I remember being at the train station in La Spezia calling Vernazza in the Cinque Terre, Signor Ceriso, I've got 24 people. What would he usually say?
Well, he would say, oh, Rick, it's big problem. I have no room for you.
We always managed, but it was a little bit of creativity on the fly. Hey, that was back when there was traveler's checks, no euros. Every country had its own coins.
Yeah, remember that. You had to always be carrying your passport to change money in the first place. And then each country had different money. You know, if you were in Netherlands, it'd be guilders, and then marks in Germany and lira in Italy. And it was confusing for the guides and the tour members to keep track of all that.
Was there like 2,000 lira in a dollar? When we started out with cash packs, we gave everybody an envelope with about a $10 or a $20 bill for each country so you could function until you get to a bank. Passports, they stamped them. It was like souvenirs, wasn't it?
That's right. And, you know, that was at the time kind of the transition when some border guards weren't crazy about stamping those passports. So we had to bribe them a bit with a beer or something, and they would reluctantly do it. And we'd pass them back out on the bus again.
And you set the standard for guides making the memories, making the experiences. I'll never forget being on a tour with you. We're all in a romantic mood under the full moon, and we're looking at the Bridge of Sighs in Venice, and something overcame you.
Yeah, we were all talking, and then I kind of just stepped away from the group, and I had this urge to dive in the canal. And so I stripped to my boxers, and the next thing you knew, you heard this plop, and I was in the water.
Dave, you still remember that. I would imagine you still remember it too. Probably the locals remember that.
Well, the guide's job is to help build memories. That's one of them anyways.
Amen. So we had toga parties. We'd go into the cantina at Angelino's, down in the cellar where they had all the wine. What was the theme song when we went down there with the boys at Angelino's Hotel?
Well, that owner, Angelino, didn't speak a lot of English, but he knew how to say, trinka, 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 drink some more wine. Yeah.
And then we'd head up into the Swiss Alps, Walter's Hotel up in the loft. What do we have, 10 or 12 people up in the loft?
Oh, yeah. Cute little beds. It was like the Seven Dwarfs up there. No, that was a wonderful thing.
Well, we were all cozy with our Heidi Cocoas, our hot chocolate with schnapps, and having had a Walter dinner. Back then, Walter had a menu where it was a piece of wood, and he would flip it over. Every 2 days, it'd be the same menu, wasn't it?
Yeah. He ran the show himself, chicken one day, beef the next, and he'd be walking around muttering into himself, and that was so much fun.
And nobody complained. Back then,
No.
nobody complained.
Everything tasted so good up there after a day of hiking.
Well, we've learned a lot. We've come a long way in the 40 years since you've been guiding with us, Dave. I'm so thankful. You're so fundamental to what we do to bring so many people so much travel joy. You were the first employee. You were the first guide. And ever since then, you've been the map maker for Rick Steves Europe. How many maps do you think you've made as a cartographer on our team?
Oh, that's a good question. I would think 500 or 600, something like that. It's hard to say.
600 maps, and just beautifully handcrafted maps. And now they're digitized and they still feel cozy and handcrafted and lovingly put together. So many people. Dave Herline, you are the cartographer of our travel dreams, the quintessential Rick Steves Europe guide. I want to thank you on behalf of the tens of thousands of people who travel on our tours every year and the millions of Americans that have our guidebooks in hand, as with the help of your maps and your travel savvy, they go over there, whether on a tour or whether on their own, and have the travel experience of their lives.
Right. Thanks, Rick. And I want to say that as different as the tours are today, I know the spirit of them is still the same, and that really makes me happy.
That is so right. It's fundamentally, it's this love of Europe, this youthful experience, this youthful attitude, and we're just a band of merry travelers. And Mr. Herline, now I think it's time for you to go back to your nap. I'm sorry to have woken you up.
Thank you. I'm awfully tired. Yeah. Okay. Good night. Thanks, Rick.
Sweet dreams.
Oh.
Well, I've got Dave Herline right here. Dave, you've weathered the years well.
I've done my best. Whenever I see that clip, I think how itchy that beard was.
Yes, I think so too. When I look at that clip, I think of the fun we had back when you and I were the only tour guides at Rick Steves Europe.
Yeah, back in the day, things were a little rough around the edges, but we sure had a good time.
Oh.
And the tour members did too.
Yeah, and I was really lucky to bump into Dave when I was at the University of Washington. And Dave noticed how lousy my maps were. You were an architecture student, right?
I was, yeah.
And you decided, I want to be a cartographer and a tour guide.
Yeah, I said I could do them a little bit better, and hopefully I did. Yeah.
Now, you fell in love with a beautiful, wonderful woman from Denmark, and that's part of your culture now, really, isn't it?
I did, yeah. My life's in kind of two worlds, here in the States and then over in Europe as well.
Yeah. And I think how many maps would you estimate you've made for our Rick Steves guidebooks?
Oh, boy, I would think several hundred. It's hard to say. Several hundred.
Because think about it, we got 60 or 70 guidebooks.
Yeah.
There's a lot of maps in every guidebook, and you're the man. So thank you. On behalf of all the travelers, thank you. And, with Jena, Dave's wife, their help, we've all learned to skål properly. The Danish word for cheers is skål. We got a little clip right now. I'd like you all to pay attention. It's just 30 seconds, and you can learn how to properly toast your friends. Let's go to that video.
Like to just teach everybody, if people want to follow along in their own homes, about how to say the skål or how to say cheers in Danish. So basically it starts like this: skål.
School.
You raise your glass never higher than your eyebrows. Then you make quick yet meaningful eye contact. You take a sip. And before you put down the glass, again, you raise your glass, quick yet meaningful eye contact, and put down the glass.
All right, you learned it from the masters, and right now Dave and I are going to do it. Dave, can you be the tour guide? Look into our eyes, right? Brief and meaningful eye contact.
Yeah. Raise your glass, but never higher than your eyes. Make brief yet meaningful eye contact with the person across from you. You drink. Bring the glass down below your eyes. Make the eye contact again. That's how you score.
Skull, all right, very nice. Thank you, Dave. Tuck, tusen Tuck. All right. Well, right now, I'm gonna head on out and see if I can talk to somebody. I think I want to talk to Cameron. Hey, let's go over here and grab Cameron. Thanks, Dave. Cameron! Yes! Before you fill your mouth with pizza. You guys, this is Cameron Hewitt. He's my right-hand man in the field. Probably the most prolific travel writer I have ever met. I think that's fair to say. A lot of people say I work hard. Cameron works very, very hard.
I learn from the best.
Your specialty, I do the West and you do the East in a lot of ways, don't we?
Yeah. Central Europe I'm doing now.
That's right, thank
Not
you.
Eastern Europe. If you watched last night, you know. It's not Eastern Europe, it's Central Europe.
So Cameron was on last night, and that show is recorded, and we were talking about our Central Europe. What is the deal? Just remind our audience here, just briefly.
These are the countries like Czech Republic, Poland, Hungary, Croatia, Slovenia. We've always called them Eastern Europe, because that's sort of how we Americans think of them. But the people who live in these countries really say, no, this is Central Europe. And if you look at a map of Europe, they really are in the center of Europe. So we've recently renamed our guidebook and our tours Central Europe. And our local guides there are really happy about that.
So Cameron has been influential on helping us write TV scripts to places like Iceland and Poland and Romania and Bulgaria. And Cameron was with us in Iceland, and you guys did the whole ring road, 800 miles.
Yeah, just last summer, me and Simon, our producer, and Carl, our camera operator, got in the car and drove 800 miles around Iceland on the ring road. Had an amazing week or so. Long, like 14-hour days, get up at dawn, and of course it was summer, so it didn't really get dark. But
and
if
people,
it was dark, we'd be working until dark.
we have a 1-hour TV show on Iceland, thanks to Cameron and our crew, coming your way. And Cameron has written his own book. It's called The Temporary European.
Temporary European, yeah, my travel memoir. Yeah.
And Cameron he's got a wonderful blog on Facebook, and I'm so thankful to have Cameron on our team. Thanks, Cameron.
Thanks for the party, man.
Okay, yep. Let's head over this way, and I think what I want to do is drop in on the backgammon game, because I love, when I go to, you want to be a cultural chameleon. Everywhere you travel, you want to do the local things. And when you're in Turkey, can I scoot over with you? Sit down here and let's just share this little thing. And when you go to Turkey, you don't let a day go by without playing a little backgammon. And that would be on bir uç. On uç. And you can just go, what? Do 1 and a 3. What are you going to do? Yep. 1, 2, 3, and 1. And you've exposed that man, and I wish I had a 7. 6 and 3. And that's backgammon. But, I love this board. I got this board, and I can still smell the tobacco and the tea and the conviviality of Turkey 30 or 40 years ago. That's just a treasure. Enjoy your game, you guys. Yeah, all right. So we've got so much going on here, and I guess one thing I want to talk about, I want to talk just for a second about souvenirs. Come on over here, Gabe. I want to just introduce a couple of my favorite souvenirs. First of all, hey, Ruth Ann, can you grab that little piece of rug behind you there and toss it to me? Just throw it. Yeah. This is my favorite souvenir, believe it or not, from Morocco. I love experiences, and I was in a shop and they were teaching tourists how to weave a carpet. And it took so long and it was so tedious that I only got this far. And finally they rescued me and they made a little necklace out of my carpet. And I put it around my neck and I walked around Marrakesh, and when everybody said, "Mister, you want to buy a carpet?" I could say, "I already have one. I made it myself." But now these little things are just fun memories. Let me just introduce you to a couple memories over here. Well, my hat. Friends know my hat. I love my hat because my dad and I each bought one of these when I was a teenager, and put a lot of memories on those pins. I got to go to an artist in Florence and actually make a fresco. All of us are artists, whether we know it or not. I'm certainly not an artist, but I did that. And if you put that 30 meters up on top of a church, I think it'd look really good. And that's what I made, is a real fresco. Another souvenir is from this hemisphere. My dad's best friend, it's a guy named Jack King. He was a designer, he designed this Space Needle. And when I was 7 years old, I went to the Seattle World's Fair, and the Space Needle was the showpiece. But my dad's friend Jack made enough money with this little cigarette lighter to pay for a boat. And before I ever went to Europe, I spent my summers up in the San Juan Islands with Jack, because he made this, and he had a boat right next to my dad's boat. And that is just an example of what a souvenir can do to keep memories stoked. You know, one of the most important souvenirs is food. And a great thing about food is you don't have to carry it around after you've eaten it. And a great thing about food is it introduces us to the culture, gets us out of our comfort zone. I want to take you back to a classic old clip here. We're going to go on a pub crawl in Madrid with my friend Carlos, and we're going to make a souvenir that stays in your stomach and in your brain as you enjoy the culture of Spain. Let's check this out together. For dinner in Madrid, it's a movable feast. For maximum fun, people, and atmosphere, do the Tapa Tango. It's a time-honored tradition of going from one bar to the next, munching, drinking, and socializing. When it comes to variety, Madrid is Spain's tapas capital. Grab a toothpick and stab something strange. While Spaniards don't eat dinner until 9 or 10 o'clock, with a meal like this, I can eat early and still go local. For starters, we're going for one of Madrid's quirkiest snacks, and this spot is named for it, La Orella de Oro, sautéed pig's ears. Pig's ears are a favorite here, and Jaime is a frantic one-man show who somehow gets everything just right.
Ahí, Ribeiro. See, this wine is like house-made wine from the northwest of Spain, from Galicia.
Okay. And it's cloudy a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little bit cloudy, so that we don't see the poor quality.
All right.
Gracias, Jaime.
Gracias. So this is?
Yeah, so this is pig's ear. This is the cartilage, actually. This is sautéed with a little bit of olive oil, Spanish paprika, and parsley.
And that's actually the cartilage.
That's right.
Crunchy.
Yeah.
Wow. Pig's ears. I never thought I'd be eating actual pig's ears.
Yeah.
Just up the street, Casa Tony is run by Tony. He's popular for his refreshing gazpacho, the cold tomato and garlic soup. Carlos, the gazpacho is really refreshing in the summer, right?
Yeah, gazpacho is like a vegetable soup with a tomato base.
But cold.
And it's very refreshing, yeah, it's cold.
It's nice, yeah. At Tony's, you can have huevos con chorizo, potatoes brava, mystery meats, and the house vermouth. Don't worry about paying until you're ready to go. Then ask for la cuenta, the bill. Next, it's La Casa del Abuelo, packed with seafood lovers savoring sizzling plates of tasty shrimp and prawns. I like gambas al ajillo, shrimp sautéed with garlic, and gambas a la plancha, grilled shrimp. A glass of the house red wine, right out of the keg, is incredibly cheap. The litter on the floor is normal. That's where people traditionally toss their trash and shells. For a sweet late-night finale, enjoy pudding-like hot chocolate and churros. Churros are the favorite local donut. Dunkin' chat, recalling highlights of the day and looking forward to tomorrow. I'm Rick, and I'm back with my buddy Gene. Gene, so nice of you to be at the party.
Oh, this is great. What a scene, huh?
It's a great scene. And Gene and I have known each other. We've been together as kind of creative collaborators since
180 years, I think it's been.
Since the last century.
Yeah. No, you and I went to Europe together in 1973 when we were just teenagers.
Just when we graduated.
On a backpacking trip, and the long and winding road has led us to here.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, next Monday, Gene's going to be my guest on Monday Night Travel, and Gene's put together a slideshow, and we're just going to go through 30 or 40 years of travel writing and collaborating.
Yeah, it's kind of a history of the company, or at least of our collaborations. Do you remember in 1973, I was just thinking of this, putting the show together, when we got kicked out of the Monte Carlo casino
I do.
And so this is kind of how do we get from there to two guys that end up writing books about European travel and art and fine art.
We got kicked out of a lot of things when we were teenagers. But Gene and I love to collaborate with these books, and Gene's my partner, especially with history and art books. And Gene and I wrote a book called Europe 101. This is its 6th edition or something like that. A fun book that Gene and I wrote is also Mona Winks. And Mona Winks is Europe's most exhausting and frightening cultural obligations.
Yeah, it takes you through the museums. That book is now a relic, a relic of history, but it went on to become like the tours that you'd find in the Rick Steves city guides, Rick Steves Paris, Rick Steves Rome, and so on.
And we used to ask people to rip this book up and send us back the pieces when they're done, and we'd send them a whole new book. And now they don't need to rip up the book because it's an app. All of these tours survive also with the audio tour and in the guidebooks in the text. But I'm so thankful for Mona Winks, and Gene really was spearheading that. As I'm showing and telling the fun stuff we've done with Gene, the hippie trail. We did Europe after graduating from high school. After graduating from college, it was on to India, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a hairy trip.
It was a hairy trip, and it was an epic trip. I'd say it was the coming-of-age trip for me in so many ways.
For me, it was too, and it was really formative, I think, for what we went on to do. It was such an open-ended trip. Istanbul to Kathmandu, we're following in the whole hippie ethos. You're finding yourself, you're finding what's going on. And really, when we came back home, in a lot of ways, that's sort of what you ended up then finding yourself and founding the company. And so it was kind of putting us on this journey of discovery.
And we're writing the book about it now. That's just a pre-published edition, but we're going to write the first hardcover book we've ever done. Our publisher is excited about this. But Gene's a very talented guy. He wrote an opera called Matter. Some of my favorite music that just never really got to #1 in the charts, but you did a lot of great music over the years, and this opera is epic, Matter.
It's brilliant. And it's, whatever. Yeah.
But the new thing just released just this last month or so, and Gene's been working on this book a long time, Michelangelo at Midlife. And we're not going to talk about it now because 1 week from now, exactly now, we're going to give people an insight into this, tracking Michelangelo's fraught and fascinating life through this epic.
Yeah, and you know, Michelangelo is very much like, in a sense, the way we were when we were young. We were on the start of a very creative journey, and you never know where it's going to turn out. It tells that story from Michelangelo.
I love it.
And next week we can talk about how we sort of went on our own creative journey with Europe to the Back Door and Rick Steves Europe.
That'll be a great hour. So we'll see you next week. And Gene, thank you so much. Take care.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to just sit down here at headquarters. And I hope you're enjoying the party. I am. It's so much fun to have all these great people in my house. And let's see, I just wanted to do have a little fun with our history. We've had so much fun figuring out what we're gonna do. I mean, my publisher, we tried kidding around Seattle. That's an okay book, but I'm not a children's book writer for Seattle. I wrote a book called Asia Through the Back Door. I love Asia, but nope, I'm doing Europe, So just during COVID, I wrote this book for the love of Europe, and that's really what motors us. If I think about our books through the years, they really originated as handbooks for our tour program. And that's our biggest part of our work right now is our tours. We take 30,000 people to Europe on 1,200 tours every year. Back in 1983, that's 40 years ago, this was the handbook for the tours before I had all these books. And this was laying around on the stage when I was giving a talk, and I'd hope people would page through the book and like what they saw and take the tour. But they paged through the book, they liked what they saw, and they stole the book. This was driving decent people to theft. I thought it's got to be available for sale. So the next year I put everything I knew about how to do the tour in here, and we brought it out in a staple-bound edition for $3.50, and the whole design was so people could do our tours without us. It was still the handbook for the tours, but now you had all the information there, and that set the template for what now is the leading series of travel guidebooks in the United States. The guidebook became official published book, Europe in 22 Days, and then it eventually evolved to the books that we have now, 50 different titles, giving people essentially everything they need to know to do the tours without us. You know, I wondered way from the back, what should be our focus? And I was just rummaging through my closet, literally, to see what I could show and tell. This is a video I made in Papua New Guinea back in the last century. It's called Weaving a Global Neighborhood. I made it for my church, and it was talking about issues between the wealthy world and the developing world and how we can all work together. And weaving a global neighborhood. Well, you know, that's what we have done in our teaching. And today, the equivalent of that is travel as a political act. We're part of an amazing planet, and the greatest souvenir is to come home with that recognition that we're all in this together. To come home with an appreciation of the fact that the world is a beautiful place filled with love, filled with joy, filled with families just like ours, and we can get to know our neighbors. That's what I love about travel. Way back in 1980, I wrote my first book. It was Europe Through the Back Door. We're celebrating the arrival just this week of the 40th edition of that book, updated every year basically for the last 40 years. And that is the heart and soul of our program. Hey, I want to right now take you to a little video clip, and it's going to talk about what tour are we on. It's a fun little thing. Let's play a game. It's kind of a drinking game. It's 5 different destinations. There's going to pause, and then we're all going to guess what tour is he on. Lisa, let's roll this clip.
More of the best of you. Homemade beer, crunchy waffles, and greeny tacos.
Oh, baby, that's not Kansas, I'll tell you that.
Hi, I'm Rick Steves, back with more of the best of Europe. This time, we're exploring a city with a distinctive culture and a flair for fashion.
Freedom!
Edinburgh. Hi, I'm Rick Steves, back with more of the best of Europe. This time, we're enjoying the edible, drinkable, scenic, and floatable delights of one of my favorite corners of France.
Whoa, your own barge on your own canal? Oh, baby.
Burgundy. Thanks for joining us. Hi, I'm Rick Steves, back with more of the best of Europe. This time, it's beaches, caves, and Alps. Enjoying a cultural workout.
Part of a place that used to be in Yugoslavia.
Slovenia. Thanks for joining us. Hi, I'm Rick Steves, back with more of the best of Europe. This time...
Oh, come on, you gotta know what that is. I love those double-decker buses.
We're in London again. This city just keeps on getting better. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Hey, I'm going to just take a quick break here to take you on some shots here. This is fun. I want to share with you just a bunch of slides. I'm going to go really fast. This is going to take 4 or 5 minutes. But we used to have alumni parties in person, and lots of people who enjoyed our tours came. But that's what we've been doing the last week, is having an alumni party virtually. And you're joining us right now. There are 3,500 families tuned in, and we are celebrating travel. We've been going way back to the early days of this company, back when I was a kid, and I just was so excited about Europe. I had no money. I was over there slumming around. Beautiful, friendly musicians had violin cases full of money. They performed while you just grabbed some coins. Actually occurred to me you could eat this stuff here, but I found a bed for $5 and you get a kitten tossed in for no extra money, and very cheap places. It was all European travel cheap. Then I realized, hey, it's not about saving the money, it's about meeting the people. And I got to meet the most amazing people in my travels, and I wrote it down. Before I ever wrote a book, I was writing down the stories, and it was just a fiend. Learning from my experience, making mistakes, taking careful notes. When I got ripped off, I'd celebrate. They don't know who they just ripped off. I'm going to learn that scam and bring it home and add it to my teaching. I started bringing groups around Europe in big, normal 50 people on a 50-seat bus. And it was a good introduction to me about mass tourism. And I realized I wanted to do a different kind of travel. This, to me, was uninspired. It was boring. It was bland. I wanted to make our own tour company where people could be inspired and engaged. And I found all of my special little discoveries, what I call backdoors, and we laced them together into wonderful itineraries. Oh, baby, imagine staying there. I was surrounded by vineyards and twinkling Mediterranean vistas. It was 8 people on a bus with me driving and me guiding. It was an experiential thing. Sure, you want to ride on the roof. Why not? It's amazing we survived that. If we saw a hitchhiker, we'd pick him up if he taught us how to yodel. That was the precondition. This is Christoph, and I could yodel for you right now if I had another swig of that wine. We would do our laundry together. It was Europe together. Back then, if you looked at the group photos, you'd think only women took these tours. Well, that was kind of it for a few years. We had safety in numbers, that's for sure. More people joined our buses. It got ridiculous, and we had to finally get into the bigger buses. That's what we have today, 25 people on a 50-seat bus, and I'm so thankful for the big extended family of people that help us do our tour programs. Here's a friend who runs a hotel in Venice, and I had a tradition of dropping by each year with my research, taking a photo of us, holding the photo from the last year's visit and the last year's visit. This is 2 generations of guides in Ireland. We are into our 2nd generation of wonderful guides. Our tours today are the same as they were ages ago. We are a family, we are punctual, we are experiential, and we know it's never too late to have a happy childhood. So that's some of our early pictures back before the euro, when everybody got a cash pack with a $10 bill or the equivalent for each of the countries we're going to visit, back when we did our laundry together. That was the 1980s. We learned back then that museums can ruin a good vacation. So we've decided to teach people how to enjoy the art, and we've spent the last 3 years working on what I'm so proud of, a 6-hour sweep through the story of Europe called Rick Steves' The Art of Europe. And if you get a chance to watch it, I think it's the most important 6 hours you could have before your trip. And I'm just thankful for public television to be able to share our love of art and our love of travel. So that is a look at our program. We know we are young at heart when we're doing things our grandchildren said we shouldn't be doing. We got 40 different itineraries. You can go on your own, get a guidebook and go on your own, or you can follow us around. But you got to get over there, equip yourself with some good information, expect yourself to travel smart, and you will. We're just wrapping up a week-long travel festival. You can see it there. All of these shows are archived and saved, and we've got 20 from last year also if you want more information on our tours. You know, we're going to give away a couple of tours later on tonight, and a wonderful man, Spencer Swank, and his wife, Rita, had their wedding honeymoon in London. They won last year, and on their 50th anniversary, they went back to London and had a wonderful vacation on a Rick Steves tour. There's Spencer. 50 years apart, he's looking great. London hasn't changed much, and neither has Spencer. Well, we're going to pick a couple of names here in a few minutes, and 2 people are going to win a Rick Steves tour. Not everybody can win, so you could just have to put up with getting a $100 discount on a tour if you want to take one, and that is good until the next week, and you just got to use the promo code FEST24. As I mentioned earlier, we're taking 33,000 people to Europe this year. We've got 30,000 seats sold. That's still a couple of thousand seats open, and we'd love to have you on board. This is our guides. We got many of our guides here tonight, but I'm just so thankful for the guides that make our travel dreams come true. Thanks so much for joining us. And right now, I think we want to go to Europe and meet one of those guides. And the guide that I'd like you to meet is my friend Paul in Oslo. And Paul is going to take us into his kitchen with his little 9-year-old niece, Cornelia, and they're going to cook us some Norwegian waffles. But food is a big part of our travels these days, more than ever, and our guides love to share their cuisine. Let's go to Oslo and visit with Paul and Cornelia.
Hi there, I'm Paul from Norway, and today I'm going to make delicious Norwegian-style pancakes. Now, to make the best pancakes possible, I'm going to get some help from the best pancake maker in my family. And that is my niece.
Hello, my name is Cornelia. I'm from Norway and I'm 9 years old.
And she makes the best pancakes in our family.
Yes, I do.
And we're going to show you how to make the batter, how to fry them, and how to eat them. So Cornelia, you're just 9 years old, but you've been making pancakes for many years already.
Yes, I have made pancakes very many times when I come home from school and for dinner.
And do you have your own recipe for pancakes?
Yes, I have a recipe in this book.
So Cornelia, what goes into the pancake batter?
Flour, sugar, milk, eggs, salt, and I have a secret ingredient, vanilla extract. But you can also use vanilla sugar.
So the recipe we're going to post below in the comment field. And now Cornelia is going to show us how to make the batter. Cornelia finds a bowl and starts to add the ingredients. Flour, milk, sugar, salt, eggs, and don't forget the secret ingredient, vanilla extract or vanilla sugar. Mix it together into a smooth and a fairly thin batter. The batter is ready and we're going to start frying the pancakes. She takes a bit of butter and melts it in a hot pan. Then she adds some batter to the pan and tilts the pan so that the batter is evenly spread. This is starting to smell really good.
Yes, it smells delicious. Then we're gonna eat the pancakes.
So when I eat pancakes, I usually put blueberry jam, sugar, and maybe strawberry jam on my pancakes. I guess you use the same, but do you use something else also?
Yes, I use Nugatti. It's just like Nutella.
So Nugatti on the pancake, that's kind of a new thing that the kids started with these days. Because when I was a kid, I never had Nugatti on the pancake. But there are no rules. You can have whatever you like on the pancake. Alright, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this pancake video, and tusen takk. Thank you to Cornelia for coming.
Thank you for having me. Remember, like and subscribe.
Ha det bra!
Ha det.
Boy, oh boy, we were talking about waffles in Norway, and now we're talking about everything. One thing when we have a party with guides, you don't need to crank up the music. The volume is big because of the conversations. Hey, Colleen, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Every time I look at you, I think of the time that we really connected 20 years ago or something in Switzerland at Gimmelwald. Do you remember that?
Oh, I do. I think that was the tour where Rich Sorensen had me sleeping up in the loft. There was about 7 beds that were spread out. I felt like Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. But
No, that's when we
catching Gimmelwald.
back then we stayed in small hotels where not everybody got a double room. So,
Exactly.
well, we got 10 doubles and we got 8 people up in the loft.
The showers were the best. Remember the 1 Swiss franc coin?
That's
You got
right.
10 minutes of warm
I remember
water.
lathering up my hair with the terror of knowing it's going to be cold in a minute.
Exactly.
Well, we're so thankful. How many years have you been doing tours with us?
I started in 1995.
Oh, baby, you've been
I
down.
was 10 years old.
That's right. Well, thank you for your good guiding. Aggie. Aggie is in charge of our brand, and Aggie is the greatest part of our program when it comes to letting you know about how great our guides are.
Oh, well, thank you for that. Our guides are great, so it's easy to talk
Yeah,
about.
it's so nice to have you here, and we're having a lot of fun marketing our tours, aren't
Oh,
we?
it's the best job in the entire world.
And Aggie thought it would be a great idea if we cut our T-shirts in half the price.
Yes.
The people want it. Get them to keep on traveling.
$10 instead of 20. I was just in New York yesterday, and I was giving a lecture at the travel show, and there was like, must have been 20 people with this T-shirt on in the audience in New York.
Next, it'll be at Fashion Week, so get it before it's more
Hey,
expensive.
thank you, Aggie. And Robin, you were just in South America, like at 20,000 feet or something?
21,000 feet.
I see you got like a windburn or a sunburn.
I got a lot of sun. You know, being at that altitude, 45 degrees was like balmy t-shirt, shorts weather.
Robin is the greatest traveler, and every time I look at social media, I see you somewhere where I would love to go.
Well, you should come. The mountains are calling. Keep on traveling.
Keep on traveling. Well, welcome home. I'm glad you had a good hike. I hope it was.
Yeah, it was awesome.
All right. And Robin is also great at updating our books. Where did you update this last year?
I was in England and Wales and Spain.
I was just reading your work, and it was really good.
Oh, good.
Thanks, Robin. All right. Happy travels. Hey, let's head over here because there's something pretty cool happening. All right. Hey. What's going on? Okay, we're building a Gothic Cathedral. Okay.
Put your hands up.
This is so cool.
Okay, buttresses, let's get together. Put it back. There you go. We got the flying buttresses. Yeah. What do you think?
I love it. This is a Gothic Cathedral right here in Seattle, Washington, and it's been standing here for like 34 seconds. But Matt, this is an example of teaching fun. We've got columns. We've got buttresses. How the buttresses doing? You guys okay? We've got pointed straight ribs, and we've got then the ability. Well, you know, I think let's go to Europe. We've got a video that shows this where we built it with our other guides in Florence. Thank you guys. You're wonderful. Well, now we're gonna host up the spire there. It does get tiring just doing that. You can sympathize with a cathedral now. For 800 years they've been doing this. Hey, we've got a video clip, and it was built with 13 tourists. Check this out.
Gothic churches were taller and brighter than the earlier Romanesque. They were made with a skeleton of support. The key to Gothic is the pointed arch. A Romanesque church is built with round arches. With a round arch, the weight pushes down. But with a pointed arch, the weight pushes not down, but out. As a tour guide, it's fun to demonstrate this by building a Gothic cathedral out of tourists. You start with 6 columns. These will support the roof with ribs, ignore the elbows, coming together with pointed arches. The key to Gothic is the pointed arch. A Romanesque church is built with round arches. With a round arch, the weight sits squarely on the wall, and it needs to be thick and strong. If a round arch collapses, it falls down. But if you point the arches, suddenly the weight of the roof pushes not down, but out. So rather than thick walls, you need to buttress the building by adding support pushing in. So you need 6 more tourists to be buttresses. With buttresses rather than thick walls supporting the church, the walls are freed to become window holders, letting in more light. To free up even more wall space, you can make the buttresses flying buttresses, with their support flying in with more arches. Are you guys ready for a spire?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Now when the spire is raised, because of the pointed arches, the weight goes out rather than down. And with buttresses in place, everything is solid. Windows can fill the spaces between the columns, and you've built a Gothic church out of tourists.
Yep.
This is pretty short after.
Give away a tour. So this is we're going to give away 2 tours tonight. This is the first one, and you guys are great dancers. Thank you for making it fun to boogie away in that piano. And right here in we have this our our crazy fox. Let's get a close-up look at that fox. I just love this fox. Back in the days when it was a real problem in my home life that I would bring home all these animals from far away. But right here on his tooth, oh, there's a name. And here it is. All right. So I really don't know the name of this. I'm just going to open this up right now. But we had about 5,000 people put their names in this week. Anybody who attended one of our, well, anybody who put their name in the bucket got a chance. And the winner of a free tour. And this is a tour to this person's choice of London, Paris, Rome, or Istanbul. 100 different departures. You can take your... It is Amy Duma from Annandale, Virginia. Amy! And a great thing, you know, that is so cool because she gets to choose. She can just kind of imagine where's she going to go. And then she's going to be thinking of the food and the art and the wonderful experiences and the guides. And she's going to have a guide that is going to knock her traveling socks off. And to give you an idea about the importance of a guide, we've got a little clip right now from our friend in Rome, Francesca, who, if you've seen our shows over there, you know Francesca. She's our go-to guide in Rome. And Francesca, I just wanted to show you how passionate our guides are and how they know how to give everything the why does that matter test, you know? With Francesca, we're inspired. With our guides, we are encouraged and inspired to embrace the history and the story of Europe. Let's go to a video right now and be with Francesca in Rome. Oh boy, my tour guiding heart is just flip-flopping right now because I get to introduce to you my friend and fellow tour guide, Francesca Caruso. And Francesca is our lead guide in Rome. Francesca, thanks for joining us.
Ciao, Rick, a pleasure as always.
We just had a great time with you a few weeks ago in Rome as you joined us to teach our new guides on our guide mentoring tour how you bring the rubble to Rome to life, the rubble of Rome. And I thought we'd grab you just for a few minutes today as we have this celebration, Francesca, and just to share with our travelers a little bit about your philosophy about sightseeing and teaching and appreciating the ancient wonders. I remember when we had you as our guide, we stumbled onto another one of our groups. This was Tina Hiti's group, who they were having a 1-week Rome experience, and you were their guide the day before. And I just was so excited about the joy I felt when everybody got to see you again, and we got a group shot and all those happy faces after spending a day with you in the rubble. So we were in the midst of our day in the rubble, and here you are with our new guides. And these are the guides who are learning to travel and teach and do tours the way we like to at Rick Steves Europe. And you were our choice for teaching them how we make the ancient sites meaningful. And Francesca, today I've tossed together a few slides here. I've been going to the Colosseum for 40 years, and just to be with you every time there's new insights. Share with us just for a few minutes here as I show these slides, how you would describe the experience for your travelers.
It's just the joy of looking and of noticing sometimes unusual things and realizing that the Colosseum is not just the gladiators, but all the things that happened to it later. And one of the things that happened to it, it was really damaged by the Romans of later times. So when they restored it, look what they did here. I think it's fascinating. In the 1800s, they tried to freeze the fact that the Colosseum was so damaged by almost creating this freeze image of it collapsing. Look at the way that the blocks are crooked and there's that deep crack, freezing this moment of collapse and ruin, which is part of its story.
Wow. So they just heightened the romantic wonder of the Colosseum 1,500 years after the fall of Rome.
A strange word to use, but it's true. Romantic, absolutely. There is a romantic aspect. Look at this. These are the numbered entrances that people use to go into the Colosseum. And during the restoration, they discovered traces of red in those carved numbers. So they would have been very easy to see. And so people would go in through the arch that corresponded to the number on the ticket.
So if I had a ticket that said 35, I'd enter through this passageway, I'd find my seat, and I would enjoy all the festivities in that arena that housed, 50,000 people or something?
Yeah, 50, 60,000. Absolutely. Why not imagine that? And look, this is another example of what happened to it later. So we know that those blocks that you see, those blocks of stone were held together also by these iron clamps. And later time there was an iron shortage. It's not an available resource in that area. So people went there and they chiseled out the pieces of iron so that they could melt them down and repurpose them.
So this would have
So
been
it's
centuries
growing.
after the fall of Rome, when Rome was a humble little scraggly town of 10, 20,000 people, and they needed that iron, and they didn't have
They
the
did.
technology to make it themselves in the Middle Ages.
That's exactly correct. Yeah.
So we can walk right by that and not understand those holes, or a guide can explain it to us, and it really brings on a whole nother dimension of the life of this amazing building. When we're walking through the streets of Rome, we can just walk through here and go, oh, I got to climb those steps. But with a good guide, you can bring these steps to life. What would you explain right here to one of our groups as we prepare to climb to the top of Capitol Hill?
That we should never be intimidated by how long Rome's history is. Let's just read Capitoline Hill together from the right to the left. We have that less steep staircase. Michelangelo designed that in the 1500s. To the left of it, the steeper staircase leads to a church that was more or less 1300s. Next to that lower brown building is an ancient Roman apartment from 2,000 years ago. And then the large white one with the chariot at the top is dedicated to Italy's first king in 1911. So just think of it: Renaissance, Middle Ages, antiquity, the 20th century, you and me, 21st century. Voila, Rome's eternity and its history right there.
For me, to be able to bring all guides like you together from all over Europe, from Portugal to Greece to Scotland to your beautiful city of Rome, and to be able to put our groups in your care as they have this opportunity of a lifetime to bring meaning to all these sites, to resurrect that rubble. I'm so thankful for that, and I'm thankful for the passion and the love that you bring to our tour program. Thanks for joining us today, Francesca Caruso.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, Rick. Ciao.
See you soon.
Absolutely.
You can imagine why our groups love Francesca and guides like Francesca. I mean, she's great, but she's just standard for us because we really, really work hard to have great guides. And you know, right now, I've got Francesca Caruso right here. Francesca, there you go. Francesca's just in from Rome.
Yes, I just came in to spend a few weeks here in Seattle.
Good. Let's step over away from the noise just a little bit. Yeah. Hey, I'm just so thankful that you're here and can join us.
Delighted to be here.
And I still can't get used to you being in Seattle a good part of the year, but I love that when you go to Europe, you can come home with a real important souvenir, and that's a love of your life. And one of our travelers met you, and you guys are just such a great couple now. And Dwight lives here in Seattle.
Dwight lives here in Seattle. We have a marvelous long-distance relationship between Rome and Seattle, but as the ancient Romans say, love conquers all, so here we are.
Love conquers all. That's great. Well, best wishes to you and Dwight, and it's great because we get to see you more in Seattle. I get to see you in March because I'm going to be with our new guides in Rome on our Guides Mentor Tour. And we do this every year. I get together with 25 or so new guides. They're all professional guides, but I get to be their guide, their tour guide, and they get to be my tourists for a week so they can learn our style.
Yes, the philosophy. We try to convey what it means to embody the philosophy of Rick Steves.
And you generously spend a half a day with us, and we get to get your inspiring examples so we can all be better guides.
Collaborating for 20 years now, so
That's
I
right.
feel I represent you well, at least in Rome.
You do, you do. You know, I was wondering, because I've known you for a long time. 21 years, oh my goodness. But you have so much energy. What do you attribute your boundless energy on the streets of Rome with a bunch of tourists, you know?
I think it's the moment that I understood that the beauty of what we do is kind of giving up who we are and becoming a bridge between the city and the visitors who come and see it. So I completely feed on the excitement of people who come to Rome and my love of it, of course. So it's a medium, my love for the city and wanting everybody to fall in love with it, and that just generates energy every day.
You know, when people find their niche and when they're mission driven, if they believe in what they're doing, it gives them energy, and it's such a blessing, isn't it, if that's your work?
Absolutely. absolutely. And if you stay focused on visitors and on what you're trying to convey and you kind of turn down the ego, I really find that it makes it marvelous all the time.
It's endlessly gratifying. So, and thank you. And here's to many more good years of touring. And I can hardly wait to see you with our new guides in March.
Rome and I are waiting for you.
Speaking of somebody else who's found their niche, we're going to go now to Siena and meet with Anna Piparato. You know Anna.
I love her. She's fantastic.
And Anna is an expert at all of the sign language of Italy, like I would imagine you are. Let's go right now to Siena and meet Anna Piparato and learn a little bit about the sign language. Okay. A key for traveling well is connecting with the locals. And a great way to do that in Italy is to understand the gestures. So we've invited one of our favorite guides in Siena, Anna Piparato, to join us right now and share her top 10 gestures. Anna, thanks for being with us.
Grazie a te, Rick. Grazie. Oh, I even started off with a gesture of thanks. The prayer hands.
Very nice. Anna, take us through some gestures so we can all be better in Italy.
Okay, well, the most important thing in Italy is the food. So if you have a really nice meal, I know you know this one, Rick. How do you say to the server, that was delizioso?
Oh, I'm all over that. Delizioso. Grazie. Buon lavoro.
But if you've had too much to eat and they say, would you like more? Say, no, I'm full, basta, grazie. But be careful not to do this, which means literally I'm fed up, but it means I've had it up to here with you. Get out of my sight.
Oh, okay. So you could be explaining something and insulting something without knowing it.
Esatto. But of course, your face always helps to make the gesture more clear. We have over 250 gestures and the facial expression goes along with them as well. Now, let's say you're at a party and you really want to get to the museum and you can't find your friend. You finally see them across the room and you say, vieni qui.
Okay. Come over.
Come here because vieni qui perché andiamo. Let's go. Let's get to the museum.
Come here. Let's go.
Esatto. Vieni
Very
qui.
nice.
Yes,
and I could look at you if I'm stuck in the party and I could go, I know what you're up to. I'm wise to you. I'm wise to you.
Very furbo, very clever. Yes, just try making a scene. Let's go. Andiamo. And this maybe will help ingratiate yourself with the locals and you can make friends.
Okay, so that's making friends. I see people doing that and they're saying, oh yeah, we get along quite well.
Exactly, get on quite well. What if you get along really well with someone?
Oh, I bet it's like this, huh?
Yeah, very cheeky, but hey, it's Italy. It's okay.
Okay, and if you don't get along? Yes, we've been feuding. So we used to be this way, but
and you know what?
I've had it with you.
Esatto, me ne frega. I couldn't care less. I'm done with you. Ciao.
I see that, yeah. What about this? What about this, Anna? I see this a lot.
Ma che vuoi? Ma che dici? Ma dove vai? What are you doing? What are you saying? Where are you going? Ti prego, I beg of you, stop being such a fool.
But then there's this related one, the little finger kiss, right?
Ah, perfetto, bravissimo. Così, Rick, già parli italiano. Sei perfetto.
Perfect. And this is really nice. That's just job well done. We are finished. This is just great. Perfecto. Anna, the way you teach gestures, the way you share your love of Italy, every time we come to Sicily, every time we come to Italy, to Siena, wherever you're guiding, I'm so excited to see you. Thank you very much for joining us and best wishes with your guiding. And thanks for being on our team.
Grazie. Ciao.
Ciao. Anna Piparato, mille grazie. That was just beautiful. It's so fun to have you with us today for this festival finale. This is our annual tour festival, and for 7 days, we've been meeting with people every night, celebrating our tours. We got 40 different itineraries, and it's just really important to explain to people very candidly what our tours are like. Our tours, you know, they're unique, and they're just, for a lot of people, it's a great vacation. That's why more than half our travels are return customers. But for the wrong people, it's a miserable experience. So you got to know what kind of tour you're signing up for. But for the right people, you're going to connect with these guides and have a blast. Hey, right now, I want to go back to Europe and we're going to play that game. What tour are we on? It's a drinking game. If you get it right, you take a drink. If you get it wrong, you take a drink. All right, Lisa, let's go and we'll see where we are. What tour? Hi, I'm Rick Steves, back with more of the best of Europe. This time, we're soaking in the cultural wonders. Oh, baby, I'm wearing my Speedos with a bunch of friends. Where am I? Of Hungary, in Budapest. Your move.
Back with more of the best of Europe. This time we're tasting, pedaling, and cruising our way through Scandinavia's most fun-loving capital.
Is it Oslo, Stockholm, or Copenhagen?
Copenhagen. Hi, I'm Rick Steves. For many travelers, the quintessence of Spain is found here.
The most beautiful romantic place in Spain.
Andalusia. The sounds, sights, and experiences of southern Spain are shaped by waves of history. Join us as we enjoy the food, music, dance, and art of perhaps Europe's most passionate corner, Andalusia. I'm Rick Steves, back with more of the best of Europe. This time, we're in the land of Mozart. It's Salzburg. Thanks for joining us. More of the best of Europe. This time, I'm surrounded by Slavic culture.
Well, I hope you got it right, because that's a lot of different destinations. Excuse me, I got to make an announcement. I always use our big cowbell to make an announcement. All right, you guys. Hey guys, in 10 minutes, we're all going to gather together right here, and we're going to wish all of our virtual buddies at this party happy travels, okay? We're going to sing a song together. So in 10 minutes, the party is going to be virtually over. Okay, carry on. Thank you. Hey, what I'd like to do right now is pull out a name for the second winner of a free tour. And we're going to come over here, and I just want to remind you, we love to give away a tour to people that attend our seminars and so on. And somebody's going to win their choice of a tour to Rome, Paris, London, or Istanbul. Those are the 4 cities of Europe that we think are worth a whole week of an itinerary. Those are the 4. We have 100 different departures. You can take this tour whenever you like. And I believe the name is in the Tyrolean hat. So let me dig into the hat and find the name. And Gabe, I'll let you hold the mic. And here we have, who could it be? It says, the lucky name is in your money belt. Okay, Gabe's gonna have to pull back a little bit, and I'm gonna show you where I keep my money belt, and I'm gonna pull it out right like this, and in my money belt, I forgot I was even wearing a money belt. I've got the name. This is the name. Tuck my money belt back in. Nobody's gonna pick my pocket and get anything worth getting excited about. Okay, here's the name of the winner. And we've got, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, Linda Sheely from Petaluma, California. Linda, London, Paris, Rome, or Istanbul on a Rick Steves 1-week tour. You got a free trip. Happy travels. That's so exciting. Thank you so much. Hey, you know, when we travel, I really think you should take a hard look at Istanbul, because I was just in Istanbul for a whole week, and I love to think of culture shock as to being a constructive thing. Culture shock is not something we avoid. Culture shock is the growing pains of a broadening perspective. And what you need is a good tour guide to curate that culture shock. Then you go home with that best souvenir, a broader perspective. You're making friends with our beautiful world. Well, Turkey is one of my favorite destinations. Istanbul is one of my favorite cities. And to talk about a little bit of cultural misunderstanding, we're going to go to our favorite guide in Istanbul right now, Lale Sermon Aran. And she's going to explain to us the tradition in Turkey and in the Muslim world of women wearing scarves. Check this out. Thank you very much.
Hey, Lolly, can we just take a minute here? I'd love to have you share for our travelers about the, in Turkey, the whole idea of a scarf. A lot of Americans wonder, is it required? Why do women wear it? Are there different ways to wear it? What's the modern approach to a scarf?
The traditional understanding of Islam requires women to cover their hair. And in Turkey, which is a secular country, women have the option and they don't have to ask anyone's permission. They can decide for themselves. So some of them wear scarves, some of them don't wear scarves. I am a Muslim Turkish woman, but I am a non-scarf wearing one. Well, even though when visiting mosques, I would still cover my hair due to my respect, out of my respect to the mosque, and more than the mosque, to the people who are worshiping in the mosque. And the scarf I would carry with me in Istanbul to use when I'm visiting mosques is a small one like this. It can easily pack even into my pocket. And this is the way I would wear my scarf going into a mosque. Very casually, I will put it on my head and wrap it around my neck. This is it.
Okay.
My mosque going attire. And in streets of Istanbul, you can see several other kinds of styles. And the most common one, which is in fashion nowadays, is to cover all your hair, not leaving anything outside the scarf.
Okay.
Like this.
And Lolly, in a conservative Islamic country where there was not a separation of mosque and state, in a theocracy, if you saw a woman who was doing a news broadcast, she would be on TV with all of her hair covered, right? You would see a very conservative, and that would be the correct way to go from an Orthodox Muslim point of view.
Yes, it is. It is. And depends on the country how much they would cover up. But yes, your observation is just right. And but when you go outside the city, outside the metropolitan area, and step into the rural countryside, into the farming communities, women would still cover their hair, but their main reason is practicality rather than the religious reasons. Think of a farming woman working in the fields in a dusty place under the sun. So they would wear a scarf like this. It is very fine cotton, and you can see how fine it is. It's see-through very easily. Yep. They would decorate the edges with crochetings and beads. And the way to wear it would be like this.
Huh. Oh, that's beautiful. So it's both practical and it's beautiful.
Yes, it is.
If it's very hot and very dusty, I can see why they would want that, and it's beautiful at the same time. You know, a lot of Americans, they're sort of, they're disturbed by Muslim women wearing a scarf. And I've got to remind, maybe because I'm a historian, I understand that societies are on a parallel track, but they're going at different speeds sometimes. And just a short period ago, Christian women covered their hair. Today, a lot of Christian women still cover their hair. I mean, nuns, of course, the most devout Catholic women would cover their hair. Jewish women have to wear a wig. Orthodox Jewish women cannot go in public after they're married with their hair showing. So they wear a wig in the same way you might wear a scarf, or they wear a covering. So this is all a cultural thing, and it's really exciting to be able to go out and to talk to people and to realize there's a reason for all of these traditions.
All right, I got my scarf. Men can get their scarves too. I love to travel with a scarf, especially when it has meaning in the culture. When I'm in Siena during the Palio time, I like to choose a contrada, and I get that scarf that represents that contrada. If you're in Pamplona during the running of the bulls, you get your little red scarf, and you are dressing just like a local.
I want to position this down so you can see my Keep on Traveling t-shirt. And I want to remind you that this has been, I hope you're having a good time. I'm having a blast, and I don't even have much opportunity to get out there and have my pizza, so we're going to be partying on, but we're going to wrap this up with our virtual party goers in just a few minutes. I hope you enjoyed meeting Lolly. I love Lolly. I was just in Istanbul for a whole week, and I had an intense week. I sightseed almost everything in this Istanbul. I'm so committed to Americans getting a good look at a moderate Western-looking Islamic nation, a secular Islamic nation with a separation of mosque and church, just like we like to have a separation of mosque and state, just like we like to have a separation of church and state. This book I'm so proud of, and I had a productive week, and I was with Lolly and with her friends and guides. It was wonderful. Hey, Scotland is another destination I don't think we've talked about too much tonight. I love our Scottish guides, and right now I just want to think back on a wonderful couple of weeks I had in Scotland updating that book, and a wonderful couple of weeks I had in Scotland taking that tour, and a wonderful couple of weeks I had in Scotland filming TV shows. We did 3 TV shows on Scotland, 3 scripts in that wonderful place. If you ever want to know what should I do in Scotland, hey, well, take a look at ricksteves.com and see what we do on a 12-day itinerary with our travelers on Scotland. You can use that for your template. And watch my 3 shows on Scotland. That's an hour and a half of information on what would I do in Scotland. It's all right there. It's free. There's no paywall. It's all that information at Rick Steves Europe. But I want to go right now into a car on a rainy day at Stirling Castle at the end of a couple of weeks of tour guiding, and I was just sort of in a great mood with my guide. We had a few minutes to kill. I'm with Colleen, my wonderful Scottish guide, and he has a what people would call a dad joke sense of humor. Enjoy a few minutes of Scottish dad jokes with me right now in a rainy car in Scotland. Hi, I'm Rick Steves. I'm in Stirling in Scotland, and I'm just finishing up a wonderful 12 days of research with my friend Colleen Mears. Colleen.
Hi.
Colleen, you've been working hard, I think, after all of this travel research. Where are you going to go on vacation?
Oh, I think it'll be Hameldamy, Rick.
Hameldamy?
Hameldamy, aye. Homeldoomy.
Ah, that's nice. Homeldoomy.
Maybe spend some time down in Blanket Bay.
Blanket Bay?
Blanket Bay in bed.
Blanket Bay, what a lovely way to say in bed. You know, that's one thing about Scotland is the language. And it's a little bit of tricks sometimes when you're trying to understand the language. Hey, when we're in Scotland, a lot of times there's a lot of rain.
Yeah. Well, it's not rain. It's just future whiskey.
Tomorrow's whiskey. I like that. And then also, when the sun comes out, Scotland gets pretty excited.
Oh, yes. When the sun's out, it's taps off.
What does that mean?
So, for the men, sun is out, tops off.
In Glasgow, especially. And then sometimes you're driving around and you see just a little bright spot on the hill over there.
It's called soot.
Soot, a little bright spot, a little sun ray on the hill.
S-O-O-T, sun's out over there.
Sun's out over there. A lot of animals we see when we're in Scotland, and a lot of cows. What can you tell me about cows?
Well, we've got the iconic Scottish cows, the Highland cattle. You can tell the difference between the male and the female, because the female carries bagpipes.
The female carries bagpipes. And do cows take vacations?
Well, if there's 2 cows in a field, you want to know which one's on vacation. It's the one with the wee calf.
The one with the wee calf? What's a wee calf?
The wee calf. The wee cow, the week off.
The week off. Tell me another animal joke.
Well, why did the pony talk like this?
Why did the pony talk like this?
Because he's a little horse.
He's a little horse. We have dad jokes in America. You have dad jokes here. Tell me another dad joke.
What's the only biscuit that can fly?
What biscuit can fly?
A plain biscuit.
And one more dad joke.
What did the big chimney say to the little chimney?
I have no idea.
You're too young to smoke.
You're too young to smoke. Colleen, I'm glad you're a tour guide and not a comedian. Thank you for 12 beautiful days in your beautiful Bonnie, Scotland.
Thank you, Rick. It's been a pleasure. Happy travels.
And we're in Stirling here, and Stirling's a very historic place, not famous for its comedy. And they say whoever holds the key to Stirling
holds the key to the kingdom of Scotland.
All right, there you go. You got your Scottish high culture. And now we're going to finish things off by going to the gym
that terrorized me when I was in 7th and 8th grade right here in Edmonds, and we filled it with our alumni travelers at our last travel festival. And we had Stephen McPhillamy, one of our favorite Irish guides, lead us in a traditional song in Ireland. And I'd like to just share that celebration with you for a moment. Before we do that, I want to thank you so much for joining us, wish you happy travels, and remind you that we are just in love with travel, and it is so gratifying to have the responsibility and the opportunity to make sure that your travels are smoother and more fun and more experiential than ever. So we're going to go right now to meet with Stephen McPhillamy from Ireland, right here with our last party that was all in person. And then we're going to come out and our guides are going to sing it with you, and we're going to have a rousing together virtual song of Molly Malone. Here we go.
So we'll just do an Irish song with you. It's from Dublin. It's called Molly Malone. It's the easiest one I can teach you in such a short space of time. The chorus is alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. In Dublin's fair city, where the girls are so pretty, I forset my eyes on sweet Molly Malone, as she wheeled her wheelbarrow through the streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Thank you.
Yay, Stephen McPhillamy. Yay, all those travelers. Yay to you for joining us. And right now, we're going to sing together. All of you out there, all 2,700 households that are watching right now, and my favorite travelers. All right, you guys ready to do it?
Yeah.
All right.
In Dublin's fair city, where the girls are so pretty, I first set my eyes on sweet Molly Malone, as she wheeled her wheelbarrow through the streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh.
Thank you very much. Happy travels and
Keep on